Welcome, everybody, to the AEW Dynamite post show. I'm Alex Abrahantes, joined by the legendary JR and Taz. And gentlemen, did we have an incredible night of action here tonight or what?
I loved it. I thought we had a good show. Didn't you, Taz?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was an action-packed show, not to be cliche-ish, but a lot of really good wrestling. A lot of stories evolving towards next week, obviously. Seeing just to be a little disjointed here, but the TNT champion Cody having a guy like Scorpio Sky get in his face. I think that's cool if that's going to happen next week, and we know about it. So just a lot of stuff. I hate to admit it, but we had a hell of a main event with Moxley and Darby Allin. Even though, as you guys know, I don't like either of those men. But otherwise,
you're a big man for saying so, Taz.
Well, all right, everything was great except for Brian Cage and Ricky Starks being banned from the building. That part sucked.
Well, yeah, let's put that aside.
After what Darby Allin did to Ricky Starks, Taz, it might have been a good day for him to have the day off.
It's a good point. Ricky got the heel up. He did get the heel. His back is just about healed.
He got butchered.
He did, and Ricky's not done with Darby, as you guys know. He's coming for him. I promise you that.
And that's going to be a match that I know many of us can't wait to see. That's going to be awesome. So looking forward to that. But gentlemen, tonight started off making history, the first ever 12-man tag. And boy, was it insane. And I got to tell you guys, I am just super impressed with the cohesiveness of the Dark Order. What did you guys think of this match?
Well, first of all of us have broadcast multiple person matches. I don't know that I've ever done a 12-man tag before. I may have somewhere down the road. Probably did. Somebody will point it out on Twitter or something, which is cool. But they're hard to call because there's so much movement, and you're not sure what the audience is buying into. Is it because you have a normal shot, and you've got multiple people moving around? So what gets the focus? So they're hard to call and give the match its just due, because that match had, I thought, some amazing timing, to try to manage. It's like herding chickens to have a 12-man match. It's just, and one referee, which I don't agree with. But nonetheless, that's my story. But I thought the opening match delivered what it needed to deliver. And I know that we were trending number one tonight in the USA. I got a tweet from somebody that said, we're also trending number one in the UK, which is cool. We appreciate everybody helping us out on that deal. We're battling. And so it was I thought the first match delivered what it's supposed to deliver. It's the first match and the last match have got to bring the goods. There's no margin for discussion. You've got to deliver in the last segment and the first segment. And I don't know which one's more important, quite frankly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, JR. And to the point about the first match, no matter if it's a 12-man tag or traditional tag or 5-on-5 or 1-on-1, it's a tone setter. You set the table, you set the tone for the rest of the show. It's very important. It's underratedly important. At AEW, I think it was Tony Schiavone who pointed out during the broadcast, unless it was you, Joe, I can't recall, but one of you guys had mentioned that, that's what we do at AEW. It might have been Schiavone, where we come right out, I'm paraphrasing, swinging. We come out with this kick-ass. It was Tony. Okay, come out with this big ass.
He made a great point. You're right.
Did. He did.
Well, that's a matter of producing and how the show's produced. And I believe that our shows, at least we strive for this, to be fan-friendly. Because all of us that are immersed in this and as part of our life, a large part of some of our lives, more so than others that have kids to raise and a wife at home or a husband at home, whatever. I just think the spirit of how the show is produced is very fan friendly. And so why not captivate your audience out of the get-go? And like you said, Taz, set the tone for what this show is going to be about. Because you're better at answering this question than Alex or I. But you're sitting back there, you're going to be on the show, let's say, and this first match goes out there and kills it. Doesn't that motivate you as you're following it that, hey, look, I can't half-ass this deal. I got to have my A game's got to be in place tonight.
1,000%. As a competitor, you have to. If it doesn't motivate you, you really don't. In my professional opinion, you don't belong owning a pair of wrestling boots, because it needs to motivate the shit out of you. And so when you have a match, and it's happened to me in my career a lot as a wrestler, and everywhere I've wrestled, where the match before you, especially if it's the first match, sets that tone, and they kick ass, and they're hitting shots over the fence. You're like, oh, okay, I got to bring it. And you go up to your opponent. I'm sorry, you go up to your opponent and you say, your dance partner, you say, hey man, they are going off right now in this match. We really got to bring it. You motivate each other. It sounds crazy, but it's the truth.
Yeah, it's human psychology, Alex. That's all it is. It's human emotions. Even though in the entertainment world of pro wrestling and the presentation thereof, the competitive juices are never tabled. They're not put aside because of the type of presentation it is. If anything, they're intensified because of the subjectivity of a TV persona being popular. And because right now, what you got to judge it by, it's not the big crowd responses, it's the minute by minute ratings, and are you selling some merch? So these guys are, I don't want to say uncomfortable. I think some of them may be, but I think the bottom line of it is that there is going to be a great competitiveness because everybody wants to close the show. And everybody's not going to get to close the show unless you earn that spot. And that's what's great about the competition.
Yeah, and I love this match for so many reasons, but I particularly love the fact that we got so many interesting dynamics going on, and so many different participants had an opportunity to shine. Like when Hangman Adam Page came back, man, did he look like a main eventer coming in to save the day and truly just cleaning house and taking care of Dark Order. It was absolutely fantastic. But then likewise, the Dark Order really showed what they could do tonight as a team. And I think they're really kind of growing comfortable with each other and really finding their groove here in AEW.
Well, Alex, to that point about the Dark Order, I agree with you. And I do think that I think a lot of credit needs to go to Mr. Brody Lee. Since he's taken over the Dark Order, from a creative perspective, not to pull back the curtain too much, but things have amped up in a better way with the Dark Order. As you guys know, when the Dark Order first started in the company, it was a little bit different. Before Brody Lee was involved with it, creatively, it was a little bit different. We had the Creepers.
I thought in the early days, Taz, I thought they were on life support because I didn't feel them. And then Darby.
Yeah, now different story now. Different. Yeah, Brody.
Yeah, now
Brody.
I got all of them got a little something. They all got a little personality. And so Mr. Brody Lee, as you pointed out, has made the difference in this whole presentation. And so now they're a very large, dangerous faction. And some wrestling fans that are probably watching us right now have been fans of factions since they started being a fan. Because the factions, the gangs, the groups, whatever, the Freebirds, the Horsemen, blah, 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 they've been around since seemingly the beginning of time. So I'm a big fan of what we're seeing in that world. And man, we had if you like tag team wrestling, man, we were a good home for you tonight.
No doubt about that. And just shifting gears really quickly, moving on in terms of the night of Dynamite, I want to make sure that we talk about this incredible promo that we heard from Jon Moxley, just setting up the main event. And just those words of how he could really, truly relate to Darby Allin. And if you look at it, they really are kind of truly mirrors of each other, just really kind of laying it all on the line there. And I thought that was a great way to really, truly set up the main event. And, Moxley told him, listen, when I say stay down, stay down. And he even said, I know you're not going to stay down because they're so similar. So I truly love the words that we heard from Moxley tonight.
I hated the words I heard from Moxley. I hated it.
Of course you would, Taz.
It was about as far away from a pro wrestling promo as you could get. It was a guy talking from his heart who created his own content, who didn't have a writer tell him what to say. Now go memorize your lines. Then we'll walk through it a couple of times. It was Moxley doing it. And I thought it was so believable. It reminded me back in the Attitude Era when Stone Cold would do a sit down with him or something like that. And he'd have a little different tone, a little different presentation. But he was being honest with you. He was being real. And to me, Jon Moxley, reeked of being very real, very open. And I thought that promo was, it was, as we had MJF last week, And then Moxley comes in a shorter version in a different context and delivers another big-time promo. So our talkers are getting to talk, and they're evolving, which I think is a good thing.
And I got to say, speaking on that, JR and Alex, as far as promo cutters and talkers, I mean, I really feel, I don't want to sound like a homer, but shit, man, we are chock full of guys that can cut a promo. Not only are we very athletic-based and action-based content as far as wrestling, because we give a ton of wrestling, as you guys know, but the men and women we have that get my time can cut mean-ass promos. So we got a lot of good talkers. Not to go through the list of them, there's a lot.
No doubt about it. And JR, you mentioned tag team matches. How about a very physical encounter between Santana and Ortiz and the Best Friends? And I tell you, the Santana and Ortiz are just so incredibly talented. They can just do so many things in the ring. They're so innovative that I think they're, in my opinion, future tag team champions someday here in AEW.
They turned my head tonight with their, maybe it was the post-match where they were destroying the van, but something clicked for me even more with those two guys. And I've always liked their team. They have great chemistry. They're fundamentally sound as hell. They're tough. You can tell they're tough. And that's important for me to see that type of presentation. They bring it. But something clicked tonight that makes tonight for them very special. And it's not about the wins or losses, or really, it's just a feel I got that they seem to become very motivated when they were taking care of that van. And if they can consistently bring that kind of passion, aggression, and badassness every week, there's nothing they can't do because they have great skills. And I'm a big Santana and Ortiz fan. And I thought both guys had their moments. But I tell you, looking at his body and how the work in the gym, Santana's really evolving as a persona and as an athlete. So, but they have great chemistry together, but I really it opened my eyes tonight. It opened my eyes big time. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I hope it's a good thing. I mean it.
Yeah, I too enjoyed the match. Speaking of chemistry, not only the Santana and Ortiz chemistry together as a cohesiveness as a team, but against Best Friends, I think in tag team is very important to have chemistry with your opponents. And those four men gel well together. They work a strong, aggressive, physical style, all four of them. But real quick, speaking on Santana and Ortiz, off of your point, JR, I do feel like, there's a lot of pluses of being in a group, a big group or faction. Like you mentioned earlier, you guys were talking factions, but then there's a couple of negative things. And not to be negative, but when you're in a group as big as, let's say, an Inner Circle or a Dark Order, you're sharing camera time. So what we saw tonight was we did not see Santana and Ortiz have to share camera time. They had their own time. And then not only in the ring, but the stuff they did on Sue's minivan, on Trent's mom minivan. So you got to see that they were I'm not knocking in the circle or any of the guys in it. I'm just being honest. Like you have your own time now. You're not sharing it with Hager or Jericho or Guevara. You know what I mean? So you can just do your own shit, and that's what they did.
Well, I tell you, all those are good points. They really are, and I can see them clear as day. When I was involved in creative and in booking, my idea of factions and multiple person units was that I want to get somebody in that group to spin out and have their own series, so to speak. So they leave an ensemble cast and they spin out and become the single star of their own gig. That was always the idea. And it wasn't like the Horsemen, when they got together, they enjoyed traveling together, partying, all that good stuff. But most factions are like the Nation of Domination. Well, we knew what we wanted to do with the Nation. And it turned into a face against these guys who ganged up on him. So he got the classic 3-on-1 deal, and it gave him a chance to talk on his own. It helped, it advanced Farouk, Ron Simmons, so he became, involved with the ATA. So, and Mark Henry became a Hall of Famer. So it was a pretty good idea. I think it worked out pretty well. So here's my point, Taz, and you're somewhat of a rebuttal. I hope that works for some of these guys that are in these big groups. And I know you're dying to talk because you're squiggling out of your chair like you got a mouse up your ass.
No, listen. I'm just a little fidgety. I'm good. I'm how I get sometimes. I just get weird. I'm fine. I'm listening to you. That's all. I'm good. I'm good, man.
Alex, you gotta get control here, Alex.
Yeah. Well, I was expecting Taz to put over the fact that
so Caesar every night.
I was expecting Taz to put over the fact that they're from New York, so that makes them tough.
I was going to say they're from New York. That does make them tough.
There you go.
You're right.
Well, listen, personally, I hope that Sue took the extra insurance on her minivan because I don't think that one is gonna be repaired anytime soon. But moving on, speaking of great talkers of the night, of course, we saw MJF at the campaign headquarters, and we now know that it's official at All Out. It's going to be Jon Moxley defending the championship against MJF. What do you guys think about this match? I'm really excited to see this. We know MJF is technically undefeated. Well, he is undefeated in singles competition. Moxley is undefeated as well. So what a great match we've got from an established veteran like Moxley and, no doubt about it, a future and current big star in MJF.
Right. I personally think this is on paper. These two men as pro wrestlers match up against each other perfectly, and they're going to match up not just perfectly, but in the ring. You have just to be blunt, a chicken shit style heel. And Jerry, you know what I mean by that. I'm not calling MJF a legitimate chicken shit. His style of heel that he is against a strong, aggressive, motivated babyface champion. It's a great story to tell. I do think these two guys are going to work great together. I think fans will love the dynamic of them as adversaries. I do. I think and they both have their own style of talking. Great. So I love the mixture. I do.
Well, very good. Okay, JR.
Yep. I like that we have a direction, Alex, and Taz.
Yeah.
I like the fact that we know our destination, but what we don't know is the road we're taking. We know what we'll see when we arrive at our destination, but getting there is the fun of weekly pro wrestling, and that's why every Wednesday night we hope to add another brick in the wall there, and get us to September for the Moxley MJF matchup. But that's the fun part of this deal to me. I'm with Taz. There's no doubt in my mind they want to have a hell of a match. No doubt in my mind. So that's not even a concern. What I'm interested in is how we get there. And that's should be fun for all of us because I ain't got a clue. And if somebody did know something, don't tell me because I'd rather just let it play out.
Exactly, yeah.
Along those lines, we kind of have a very similar story going on between Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. Because, again, you have the veteran versus the up-and-comer, and we saw what a beatdown by Sammy Guevara and that chair shot that hit Matt Hardy straight in the face and then the 640 off the stage. It was pretty impressive.
I think it's 6:30. Yeah, 6:30. We're close. On TV, I said he did 360. I don't know what I was thinking. It's just finished at 6:30. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal, but pretty impactful, I have to say. So I'm really looking forward to seeing these two get it on as well.
Yeah, I am too.
Go ahead, Taz. Go ahead.
No, just real quick. I again, we talk about dynamics of opponents. I think this is a real good one here. And the story is fine, it's perfect. Where Matt Hardy wanted to help, help Sammy. Sammy didn't want his help. I get it. I understand that. I lived that a little bit too. And, some young guys here once not too long ago, but I digress. But I do think these two guys, Matt Hardy is going to come back friggin' furious because he got split open. I think he got well over 10 stitches, I believe, from what I was told. Whenever you throw a chair at someone, no matter if it's legs first or if it's the lip of the chair first. I've been hit with both sides of the chair. I've had a lot of chairs thrown at me from wrestlers in my career because we were kind of veering away from chair shots. We were still doing chair shots, unfortunately, but then guys were throwing chairs. And so I ate a lot of those chairs in my career in the land of the extreme, as they call it. So I know you can get caught with a leg and it'll gaff you open. You can get caught with a lip and it'll get you. So Matt got caught pretty bad, and I think he's going to come back pretty pissed off at Sammy.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Also, we were talking about Dark Order earlier, and we haven't really seen too much of Reynolds and Silver. We've seen him on Dark a couple times, but tonight they really showed us something against Cody, and they debuting Matt Cardona, which, look, he looks like $1 million. We know that him and Cody have a long history. They don't necessarily have history or chemistry teaming up, but they've known each other for a while. But really impressed with Reynolds and Silver in this particular matchup. What'd you guys think of that match?
Silver, both those guys got skills, and they were smart enough to isolate Cody away from the adrenaline-filled Cardona. So I thought the game plan was perfect. They isolated, they cut the ring in half, which that means, everybody, is that the match is basically wrestled diagonally, and that portion, that diagonal portion, is in the corner of the Dark Order guys. And they did that perfectly. And it's a classic old school tag team strategy that works. Isolate, and it becomes a handicap match. Think about it. It's 2-on-1 then. Tag in and out and have at it. So I thought that's what they did, and I thought that was a real good matchup. Cody took a lot of punishment, and I was surprised he didn't get a tag earlier. I know that I was watching Arn Anderson off camera. I'm cheating. I should have been watching my monitor exclusively, but I cheated. But the look of concern on Arn Anderson's face was definitive. He didn't like seeing what he was seeing. And this is about the third week in a row that it's been obvious that Arn has had a problem with Cody. And I don't know if it's a problem with preparation, day of time management, split focus. I don't have a clue. But I know that Cody's taken a lot of punishment, and Arn has felt all those blows as well. So I thought that Silver especially had a really good outing, low center of gravity, and that causes problems for some guys. They're just not used to it. And he's strong. So in any event, I thought it was a good outing for the Dark Order guys. And then, of course, Matt Cardona gets the hot tag, and he comes in and does what a babyface who gets the hot tag should do. He tore it up. Somebody took me to task on Twitter, guys, because I said something along the lines that Cardona is the world foremost expert in pro wrestling figures.
It's the truth.
Isn't it the truth? I was glad you pointed that out.
It is the truth.
It's like pro wrestling has become so sanitized. What happened to the Attitude Era? I thought we had a pretty aggressive show tonight, quite frankly.
Yeah, we certainly did.
Attitude Era-esque, in my view. No, I don't think by intent, but Matt getting busted open with that chair, that was freaky, accidental.
And then Mox,
same deal.
Yeah. MJF hit him with the belt, right, with the AEW World Championship.
Darby got his mouth busted. He was bleeding. It was when you have physicality and guys taking unusual chances and being very Idaho-minded in the potato factory, that's what you're going to get sometimes. And I love that's the way our mindset is. I said on Twitter tonight that I felt like, and as a character, you may not like this, but I think you understand the spirit of my tweet. I thought that Jon Moxley's spirit represents the true foundation of AEW. A little outlawish, a little rogue, us against the world, nothing fancy, but real basic, straightforward shit. And I think that's kind of what our brand is being built on. Things like that. Now, he's not the only one, but he's a champion right now.
No, there's nothing wrong. No, I agree with you. Putting that aside, for me, what Mox does, I agree. And hey, I made a living being anti-establishment and with black boots and a black singlet. So I'm all for any man or woman that can keep it simple, but keep it aggressive, keep it tough, keep it physical. I don't think you have to. If you have that style like a Mox does, where you could bring toughness into it and bring physicality, no knock on any guys that do more higher paced style or high flying maneuvers or whatnot. But I think it's like I've talked about before, and JR, the cliche, like this, there's a lot of different flavors in the ice cream shop, and that's what a good pro wrestling company is, and that's what AEW is. You have a potpourri of different flavors from all the guys and girls on our roster.
Let's switch gears really quick because we talked about physicality, but let's talk about the verbal aspect because tonight it was on another level with the great Wednesday night debate. And of course, the world was shocked. Eric Bischoff turned out to be the guest moderator. And on paper, you thought this was going to be very one-sided. Chris Jericho, one of the greatest of all time, in the ring and on the microphone against Orange Cassidy. But boy, did Orange Cassidy really kind of blow us away tonight.
He did. I'll tell you what, if things don't work out in this wrestling business for me, go work for the Weather Channel. I mean,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, very versed in global global warming.
But I like Orange's chances to keep succeeding in wrestling, and hopefully he stays right here in AEW. But no, I thought it was great. I loved the whole thing. It was great to see Eric Bischoff back. Obviously, Chris Jericho is great on the stick. And we learned that so's Orange Cassidy. And I think it shows us another layer, some more depth to this persona that wrestling fans worldwide just love. He's everyone's favorite slacker, Orange Cassidy. But
that's right.
That son of a bitch can go, man, on the ding, ding, ding. He'll bring the physicality. I'll tell you, anytime you have somebody who can put their hands in their pockets and do a kip up and dive all over the place and take bumps, shit, I'm telling you, as a wrestler, that is hard.
Yeah.
So that's very impressive what he can do physically too, Orange Cassidy.
He's a hell of an athlete. The kid's a hell of an athlete, no doubt.
He is.
I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm glad I was wrong on him. I will be fully admit, full transparency. You don't get that in the White House, kids, but full transparency here. I was wrong on Orange Cassidy. I didn't get it in the beginning. But when I got it, I liked it. So I'm a big proponent of his, inside and outside. He's a very intelligent guy, as you can tell by his ability to pronounce words that Taz and I would not attempt. He was very good, So I'm a Taz. I like the fact that he said this a week ahead of time. Next week versus Chris Jericho is the biggest match of my life.
That's right.
Now, you can say, well, that's what these pro wrestlers are paid to say. I'm telling you, folks, those lines are not scripted. He believed this. He felt this.
Yep.
And as far as this kid's concerned, this is the biggest match of his life. Now, for us fans who are going to be watching it live, you just wonder, golly, I wonder how this thing's going to turn out. What kind of story will they tell? I can't wait to call that match. I think it's going to be one of the best matches of the year. Knowing Jericho, he's going to pull out every stop to make sure he steals the show. And I don't know that and Orange Cassidy has continued to grow. So it's a key match for the growth of Orange Cassidy in many ways.
No doubt. I mean, truly a lot of passion that came out from Orange Cassidy tonight. That was as real as it gets. And we're in store for another classic match because they've already had one in the books. So next week in that $7,000 obligation match, that's going to be absolutely insane. It's going to be one that you do not want to miss. And the Inner Circles and Best Friends are banned from ringside, so we're going to see probably what is going to be a really physical match between these two individuals.
Well, speaking of banned from ringside, maybe we could be so lucky Brian Cage and Ricky Starks won't be banned from ringside. It won't be banned from the arena. Hopefully they'll be allowed in to come to work. Just wanted to throw that out there. It has nothing to do with the $7,000 obligation match.
I
heard say.
I thought you had. It sounds to me like, Taz, that you need to build your rapport with Tony Khan more.
I think you're right.
Control all these hardships you're facing.
There you go.
I would hope so.
There you go,
He's
Taz.
the owner of the company. Yeah.
You
Make it happen.
You need his number?
No, I got his number. And I was pulling for Fulham. They won the big game against Brentford. I'm all in. I'm all in.
All right.
How much more of a team guy could I be? My guys are getting banned from the building. I'm pulling for Fulham.
You'll find out. You'll find out next week.
I saw a picture online. I saw a picture online on Twitter this week. Might have been today, where Tony was at the ECW arena, and he had a sign, and it was Jericho's last match at ECW arena, And listen to this, Alex. Tony was wearing a T-shirt.
He was wearing a Taz T-shirt?
Markish for the FPW title. Just saying.
Wow. Well, I think
not,
Ricky Starks and Brian Cage are going to be back next week, Taz. If that's any indication. Well, let's move on and talk about Dr. Britt Baker. Always entertaining, always has something going on. And the fact that Big Swole came out, no nonsense, to the ring and took on Reba? Rebel? What do we really call her? But boy, she really impressed.
She knows what she's doing, and JR pointed out during the broadcast, and those of us that know her a long time, she's one of the nicest people ever, but former Dallas Cowboys cheerleader and wrestled for a long time. And I thought what she did was great. I thought her and Swole I really enjoyed it.
Yep.
JR, I think that might have been the first time in a long time, just you and I were calling that segment for a little while till Schiavone made his way back to the desk after he got done signing autographs to the crowd. But yeah, you and I called some of that. And I'm like, while we were calling, I'm like, huh? I was saying to myself, I don't remember the last time JR and I worked together just as a team, like in a long time. I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. But I thought Reba did a good job, and Swole stepped up and got her dirty dancing finish, and that was good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely did what it was intended to. So.
Yeah, Reba had not wrestled in a long. She's not an active wrestler any longer, as you could tell. She came aboard our company as a hair and makeup person. Then she bonded with Dr. Baker. I'm not so sure that Reba is still not doing makeup early in the day, then taking care of Dr. Baker closer to showtime. I don't know that, but it would surprise me. But she's an Oklahoma girl, really good athlete. But I thought for somebody that was putting a spot on national TV with no to speak of, that she delivered her goods tonight. And I think, quite frankly, guys, being married to Britt Baker for Swole is a hell of a good thing, because she's getting regular television time and has the ability to grow her personality. And Lord knows, Big Swole's got a big personality.
She sure does. There's no doubt about that.
And real quick, Alex, one more thing on Big Swole. I feel like you're right, JR. I think it's great that Swole can get on the biggest platform on Dynamite and do her thing. I think she's one of the more underrated talents we have. Her persona, her athleticism, as a pro wrestler, just everything she does. I'm a fan, like a lot of us are in the company. Swole, she's one of the nicest people you ever met in your life, as you guys know. But she works her ass off, and she's all business. She's all in, man.
No doubt about that. And speaking of all in, let's talk about our main event of the night. Jon Moxley defending his championship against Darby Allin. I loved how Darby made it to the ring with that mask. So playing the mind games against a guy like Jon Moxley. And boy, these guys really left it all in the ring tonight.
I wish they were still left in the ring.
Yeah, that was physical. Well, yeah, in another capacity, right. They were physical. We knew that Darby Allin was going to do everything that he can. It seems like he always comes in and steps up his game. He always delivers in these high-profile matches. JR, curious to hear your thoughts on this particular matchup.
Well, Darby's that $2 steak tough kid. He's like a slinky. He bends in some weird ways, man. And he's got great flexibility, but he's like a human slinky. The kid, and this could be his downfall. I hope that 10 years from now, I'm still alive, number one, and somebody on this television and YouTube is talking about Darby Allin, and not posthumously, because he takes the most unbelievable chances. And that's not just at the wrestling ring. Look at those videos he sends in. He's always thinking. He never disengages. He's always into his craft. He's a very good videographer, quite frankly, and creator of content. But he doesn't have any limits. And Taz, you can speak this better than me, but every wrestler's going to have some limits. In other words, there's things that you might not do because you're just not comfortable executing them. I know when Austin got hurt with his pile driver, I don't think he ever was pile driven again.
Yeah.
he just didn't feel comfortable taking the move after he got hurt with it, inadvertently as it was, but still.
I was the exact same way. I hurt my neck in '95 with a spike pile driver, and I never took another pile driver again except one time, and that was with Jerry Lawler, and an angle with you, Jim Ross. And Lawler had to basically tell me it's going to be fine. The only thing I was afraid of was pile drivers. So I guess Steve and I have that in common. But yeah, to your points you're making though about Darby Allin, like I know where you're going with this, JR. And yeah, no, Darby, he's fearless. He has no fear. It doesn't matter if he gets hurt with something or not. He is totally, the young guy is totally fearless. And those are the hardest guys to fight. Because it's like the old, to show my age, the Rocky Balboa from Rocky 1 with Apollo Creed, when Apollo's kicking the living shit out of him, and he's just like, come on, keep coming. He's bloodied up, beat up, and Rocky Balboa just wouldn't stop. I mean, we've seen baby faces like that over the years, but that's Darby. I mean, he is that guy that his resiliency is insane. His pain tolerance is insane, which is good because, Ricky Starks likes to dish out pain. So that's going to
nice segue.
That should work out well. Yeah, it's easy, simple segue, Alex. I've done this before.
Well, very good. Well, yeah, what a great match we've seen between those two. Obviously, MJF getting involved, continuing to build to the main event of All Out. But I got to talk to you guys about next week's show because it is yet another pay-per-view quality Dynamite. It's insane. So we know that Scorpio Sky has made his intentions known to Cody, and he's going to be challenging for the TNT Championship. I mean, that match is just going to be fantastic. There's no doubt about that.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see these two guys hook up. I cannot sing the praises of Scorpio Sky enough. I had never met Sky until I came to AEW. I knew of his work, his body of work for a long time. I think he is just the perfect mixture of everything you need in a champion. I'm a big fan of Cody also. I do think these two guys are going to gel great. I wouldn't want to follow this match if I was wrestling on Dynamite next week. But JR, what do you think of Sky?
Well, historically, the TNT title match has gone on earlier than last. This show's shaping up to be, there's about two or three things we can name off the top of our head that could go on last and be a good fit. That's how deep this card's going to be and is. I didn't know Scorpio Sky personally until I came to work for Tony Khan here at AEW. But he's been a pleasant person to know. I consider him a friend, and I have great respect for him. But Taz, you're right. He may be the best overall Raw athlete on the roster. He's got experience. He's awaited his opportunity. He was in the his trio with Frankie and Christopher Daniels, SoCal Uncensored for a long time. I don't want to say he seemed to get lost there. He just kind of melded in. They became one act instead of three. So now he's got a chance to grow on his own. And a lot of that growth is going to be motivated by how well he wrestles Wednesday Night Live on TNT. And to say that, if Cody has an off night, and we've seen him have off nights, he took a lot of punishment tonight, much more than he needed to take. That's just my take on it. But I don't know how he's going to be. If you're telling me that we all believe collectively that Cody's ribs are going to be 100% in a week, I think we're fooling ourselves. I don't think that's the case. So nonetheless, I think it has a chance to be a match of the year type match. Scorpio Sky challenging Cody for the TNT title could be history making. And if we have a new champion, I'm not advocating it yay or nay, but if we have a new champion, I will not be shocked. Shock is not the word. I'll be surprised, and I'll be happy for Scorpio Sky for finally getting to his journey ending where he wants it to end with a championship. At least on this particular run of his journey. It's always eluded. So now's the time. I think the match is going to be classic. And again, a match of the year candidate in AEW, without question.
Couldn't agree with you more, JR, but we also have the $7,000 obligation match, which we talked about, Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy, another match that could definitely headline the show, that could, quite frankly, steal the show. So that's going to be fantastic as well. In addition to that, great tag team action in a match that I think is just going to be absolutely phenomenal. The Young Bucks are going to be taking on the combination from the Dark Order of Stu Grayson and Evil Uno, which in my opinion are probably the deadliest out of the entire combination in terms of tag team competition between the Dark Order.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier about cohesiveness on something. I can't remember who I was referencing. But when I think of those four men, as far as the Young Bucks, Evil Uno, and Grayson, as their teams, the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Johnson, who could
that would be Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson. I'm sorry,
that's
here.
Okay.
No, so I'm watching this thing on TV. I'm actually watching Bischoff come out. I'm watching the show back. Yeah. So the thing is with the Young Bucks, the cohesiveness and the way they pull off the athleticism they do. Matt and Nick Jackson just turn it up to a whole nother level. And I think Evil Uno and Stu Grayson are the same way on the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. I mean, I talk underrated. I think Grayson and Uno are underrated in their intensity and physicality. So when they lock horns with Mac and Nick Jackson next week, I am really fired up for that. That's going to be a hell of a match.
5-star match for sure.
This match is all about pace, and in my opinion, the Young Bucks like to dictate a fast pace. They like to get the thing rolling. They like to shoot threes, in other words. They're a big time, fast paced, offensive minded team. So, in order to combat that and take them out of their element, one would assume that the Dark Order, and they have the ability to do so, will try to ground the Young Bucks. Much like we saw tonight with that, it's almost like a trait of Mr. Brody Lee's guys all around is to in a tag match, you isolate and destroy. Yeah. And I've got to believe that the Dark Order will do their very best to separate Nick or Matt from the pack, so to speak, and go to work. And they have the skill set to make that work for them. And so I don't see, hey, we talk about matches that could close a show. For my money, that match could close the show. It's going to be that good.
No doubt.
By the way, I'd like to point out, guys, anybody on YouTube comments that takes a shot at me for saying Johnson instead of Jackson, go take a shit in the lake. Okay?
Any lake in particular, or just, anyone you can find?
JR could pick the lake. I don't know,
right.
Whatever one he thinks.
All right. As long as it's not the lake of reincarnation, Matt Hardy might not be too happy.
Don't take a shit in that lake. Any lake but that.
Any lake but that. All right. Well, let's talk about the tag team titles because we've got a championship match next week. Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega are defending against Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, Jurassic Express. What do you guys think about that match?
Hey, there's a chance you might crown. Go ahead, JR. Go for it.
No, I'm just wondering, this is a very tenuous situation for Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. It's almost as if to me that if they don't win the titles, that they're going to fall back more than normal. So I'm going to look at this. Is it feasible that these two guys, these challengers, could upset the champions? Because it would be an upset, in my view. Mm-hmm. And so the answer to that question is Jungle Boy Jack got to keep them off balance. But at some point in time, when the match is ready, the tag's got to go to Luchasaurus, and hopefully he can close the deal. Because he is by far the biggest, strongest guy in this match. He's got great flexibility. So stranger things have happened. But to me, if Hangman Page and Kenny lose the titles, then it would be a major upset. So I may have just screwed them. They may lose it now because I prophesied they're going to win. But nonetheless,
jinxed them.
It should be a hell of a match.
It's going to be great. It's going to be really, really good.
Jinxed them.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you popping on here and doing the post show. This has been awesome. What a match, or excuse me, what a night we had filled with incredible matches. And as I mentioned, I think next week is going to be even bigger and better. So thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Hey, Alex, I want to say before you leave, Are you signing off?
Yep. No. Go ahead, JR.
Keep going. You're live on the air, my friend.
For God's sakes, I said this on the air. I got to sell some barbecue sauce.
Tonight, all right.
25% off tonight on all of our delicious products. 25% off jrsbbq.com. And thank you very much.
There you go. Sounds delicious. On that note, Taz, let's talk about your new shirt, Taz.
Well,
just came out. Shop AEW.com.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should do a combo where you can get a Team Taz shirt, XW shirt, and barbecue sauce.
I love it.
What do you think? What's up, JR?
I got a question for you. You know, I saw you in the announcer's trailer the other day using that little gimmick to comb your goatee.
Oh, yeah, I got
me one.
Yeah. That a boy.
I got me one. Now, my question to you is, it came in my Manscaped kit. I think it's for this. Nonetheless, Manscaped's one of our podcast partners. So tomorrow, my podcast drop, we're talking with Sable. But here's the deal. My question is this.
Seamless plug. I love the trend. Let me educate some people how that was just done. Alex, you know. So you go
when you use the
layup transition. No, but I'm gonna let you finish in a second. But you do the layup transition of my goatee comb into your podcast sponsor in Manscaped, which many moons ago when I had a podcast, they were my friggin' sponsor too. But then that was a way for you to plug not only your barbecue sauce, but to plug the podcast too.
It's a great
job.
Well done. Very well done.
Okay, here's my question. When you comb your goatee, do you ever find food in it?
No, it's disgusting.
See, I'm finding crumbs in my beard that I didn't know I was carrying around. It's kind of embarrassing.
Well, that's because you probably, like where you live, you probably eat a lot of cornbread and brisket and pulled pork. That's probably why, every day. So it's probably in there, you know?
So it depends on what you eat.
A little saucy.
But now you have the comb.
You got the comb. You got to comb down. I hope the comb you have is made of teak wood. That's the key. Not some plastic shit box. Not plastic shit box comb. Yeah. No. It's got to be wood.
Taz knows his stuff?
I know my stuff. I know pubic hair. And the thing is, it's got to be teak wood, my friend.
Great feedback,
I'm not sure if this is hair on your face is not pubic hair, though, right? Is it? No, not.
No, it really isn't.
Scratch that from the podcast.
But you learn something new every day. Alex. It's a good thing we're not live.
Alex,
yes, JR.
It's time to sign off, Alex.
I think on that note.
I think we've peaked.
I think so. Definitely. On that note,
please.
I think we're gonna find out first and foremost whether you have teak wood, whatever that means, and then we'll see everybody next week on AEW Dynamite. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right, bottoms up, JR.
Good night, everybody. You bet.